saying I matter enough to follow through. It's the choice to protect your potential instead of your distractions. And once you taste that kind of strength, the kind that comes from keeping your word to yourself, you'll never want to go back. That's when you become dangerous, not to others, to your old self, to your excuses, to your patterns, because now you're no longer fueled by emotion. You're fueled by decision, and decision cuts through doubt. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't wait for the weather. It acts. You want to attract success? Start becoming someone success is attracted to. Someone who's serious, someone who's committed, someone who follows through. Not just when it's exciting, but when it's silent, when it's lonely, when it's boring. That's where the edge is. That's where you separate yourself. Most people stop when the feeling fades, but that feeling isn't supposed to last. It's only supposed to start. You're not supposed to live in motivation. You're supposed to build from it. Motivation is the spark. Action is the fire. And fire only grows if you feed it. So feed it daily. Feed it by showing up. Feed it by choosing effort over ease. Feed it by refusing to break promises to yourself. There's no secret system, no magic app, no three-step program that makes this easy. You want to know the secret? It's this. You've got to want it more than your excuses. You've got to want it more than your comfort. You've got to want it more than your old identity. Because becoming someone new means letting go of who you were, the lazy version, the distracted version, the version that keeps saying one day and living like never. That version has to go. And the only way to kill it is to starve it with new habits, new choices, new standards. You've got to build a life that's too strong for your excuses to survive in. A life where discipline isn't a struggle. It's normal. Where focus isn't rare. It's expected. Where action isn't an exception. It's your daily routine. That's what high standards look like. And they're not built overnight, but they are built. One decision, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. And here's the best part. You don't have to wait. You don't have to ask permission. You don't need anyone to believe in you. You just have to believe in the next step and take it. Action clears the fog. Action builds momentum. Action makes your mind sharper and your emotions steady. The more you do, the more capable you feel. And the more capable you feel, the more you do. That's the cycle. That's how winners are built. Not by doing what's easy, but by doing what's necessary. Even when nobody's watching. Especially when nobody's watching. Because that's when character is built. That's when the real work happens. That's when you rise. And that's where we're going. Because now it's not about talking anymore. It's not about potential. It's about proof. And proof only comes from action. So the question is no longer, what do you want? The real question now is, what are you willing to do about it? Because wanting is easy. Everyone wants. But few decide, fewer act, and even fewer stick with it when the initial excitement fades, and all that's left is the work. You don't need a miracle. You need movement. One step right now that says, I'm not going back. That one act creates a shift, a new signal to your brain, a new message to your soul. It says, I'm not waiting anymore. And once you say that with conviction, something changes inside you. You're no longer attached to the old version of you. You're building a new one, day by day, step by step. It won't be perfect. You'll stumble. You'll mess up. You'll question yourself. But the difference is, now you don't quit when it gets uncomfortable. You expect discomfort. You welcome it. Because discomfort is the sign that you're stretching, that you're growing, that you're no longer playing life safe and small. Look around you. Most people are just getting through the day, floating, distracted, avoiding the mirror, living on autopilot. They're not bad people, but they're stuck, and stuck becomes normal. When you stop questioning it, when you stop challenging it, when you accept it as just the way it is. But you weren't born to stay stuck. You were built to build. You were born to create, to push limits, to grow into something stronger than your excuses and bigger than your fears. And here's the truth. Most people avoid your life right now. This very moment is the sum of your decisions, not your circumstances, not your environment, not your upbringing, your decisions. And the second you own that, fully own it, you get your power back. Because now if you created this, you can create something new, something better, something real. but it starts with getting brutally honest with yourself. How long have you been making excuses for not starting? How many times have you told yourself, next week, next month, after the holidays, after I feel more ready? And where has that gotten you? Waiting does one thing. It delays the discomfort. That's it. It doesn't make it easier. It just postpones the pain. But when you face it now, you save yourself years. Years of regret. Years of underperformance. Years of feeling like you're not living up to who you could be. That's the cost of excuses. They steal your potential inch by inch, day by day. And they do it so quietly. You barely notice it, until one day you wake up and wonder where all the time went, and why nothing's different. Don't let that be your story. You want to get out of that cycle? Then break the pattern. Right now, not tomorrow. Not when it feels better. Now, because the future doesn't start later. It starts with what you do next. You don't need a major breakthrough. You need a clean decision. One that says, from this moment forward, I'm showing up differently. Not just when it's convenient. Always. Because if you only move when you feel like it, you'll always be chasing life, instead of leading it. Leadership starts with leading yourself. Your time, your energy, your focus. You can't lead others until you learn to master your own impulses. That's where real strength comes from. Not control over the world, but control over yourself. And that kind of self-control, it's not a gift. It's a habit. It's trained. And it's trained by pushing through resistance, again and again until it becomes second nature. Every day is a test. Every day is a chance to vote for the kind of person you want to be. And every choice you make is a brick in the foundation of your future. So the next time the old excuses show up, the voice that says, take it easy, or you don't have to do this now, or you've got time, I want you to answer with action. Not debate, not negotiation, just action. Because action is louder than excuses. Action builds identity. Action changes how you see yourself. When you stop negotiating with your goals and just commit to them, life gets simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You don't need to overthink anymore. You just do what's needed. You follow through because that's who you are now. Not sometimes, always. You want to feel confident? Keep your promises. That's where self-respect comes from. That's where belief is born. When you say you'll do something and then actually do it, you're proving to yourself that your word matters, that you can be trusted, that you are no longer a slave to your mood or your past. And once you build that kind of trust with yourself, you become unstoppable. Because now, it doesn't matter what happens around you. It doesn't matter if people believe in you or doubt you. You believe in you. You've earned your own respect. And that changes everything. That's what separates the few who rise from the many who just talk about rising. Talk doesn't move the needle. Action does. And action isn't about speed. It's about consistency. It's about direction. It's about waking up every single day with a clear mission and doing what needs to be done even when the excitement is gone. Especially when the excitement is gone. That's when your character is revealed. And that's when the real transformation begins. You want a better life? Then build better days. Stack them. Protect them. Fill them with actions that reflect who you want to become. Not just what feels good. Not just what's comfortable. But what's right. What's aligned with your values, your goals, your potential. Because every time you act in alignment, you build strength. Mental strength. Emotional strength. The kind of strength that doesn't flinch when life gets heavy. And life will get heavy. But that's not the problem. The problem is thinking that heavy means stop. Heavy just means it matters. Heavy means you're growing. Heavy means this is real, and you are strong enough to carry it. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've made a decision to never stop moving forward. And that decision, that's everything. It's not just the beginning, it's the backbone. The quiet resolve that says, no matter what comes, I won't quit on myself. You live by that, you'll look back one day and barely recognize the person who used to wait, who used to doubt, who used to make excuses, and you'll smile because that version of you didn't disappear. You buried it with action. And now the world sees what was always there, your potential, your power, your purpose. And it all started the moment you stopped making excuses and started taking action. And now that you've tasted that shift, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending you don't know what to do. You can't play small anymore, because deep down you know you're meant for more than surviving your days. You're meant to build something with them, something lasting, something meaningful. It's not about proving people wrong. It's not about chasing applause. It's about looking yourself in the mirror and knowing without a doubt that you showed up with everything you had, that you lived this day like it mattered, because it does. Every day you waste, you trade for time, you'll never get back. Every excuse you make becomes a brick in the wall between you and your potential, and that wall doesn't crumble on its own. You tear it down one brick at a time, with courage, with responsibility, with action. Not loud, flashy action that looks good on camera. Quiet, disciplined action that builds confidence when nobody's watching. The world will try to convince you to wait, to slow down, to not get your hopes up. And if you're not careful, you'll start listening. You'll start shrinking. You'll start settling. But you've got to remember, the loudest voice shouldn't be the world's. It should be your own. The voice that says, I'm not here to live small. The voice that says, I don't need permission to change. The voice that says, I refuse to be a prisoner of my past, because your past doesn't own you. Your pain doesn't define you. Your setbacks aren't your identity. They're your fuel. They're your wake-up call. They're the pressure that forges your grit and shapes your fire. Every scar has a lesson. Every failure has a message. And every mistake holds a seed of wisdom. But only if you stop blaming and start learning. Only if you stop hiding and start growing. And growing begins the moment you stop asking for easy and start asking for strength. That strength doesn't show up all at once. It builds through repetition, through daily choices, through discipline that nobody claps for but everyone notices in the results. You're not falling behind. You're just one decision away from a comeback, one act of courage away from a breakthrough, one honest conversation with yourself away from snapping the cycle for good. You already know what's not working. You've already felt the pain of delay, the weight of procrastination, the guilt of not following through. You don't need another reminder of that. What you need is a new standard, a new baseline, a new definition of what's acceptable in your life. Because the old one, the one where excuses ran the show, that version is done. You've outgrown it. It may have protected you once. It may have given you comfort, but now it's become a cage, and it's time to break out. So stop explaining why you can't. Stop defending your limits. Stop rehearsing the same old reasons. You don't owe the world an explanation for your past, but you do owe yourself a future that's worthy of who you really are. You've been giving time to everything and everyone, except the person you're becoming, and that ends today. From now on, every decision runs through one filter. Does this move me forward? Does this make me stronger? Does this bring me closer to the life I say I want? If the answer's no, cut it out. That includes distractions. That includes toxic habits. That includes people who pull you back into the version of you you're trying to escape. You don't have time for that anymore. Because when you finally decide to grow,
โอ้โหพอหลังจากแก้ไปแล้วเนี่ยน้องเขามีความมั่นใจ
life gives you two choices: evolve or repeat. Evolve into who you're meant